Welcome back, everybody. What? My bad. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. This is your homie, Shanti. Don't forget the Manti. Welcome back to the Room 104 podcast. Today, lower your volume, please. Today, I have a special guest with me today. I have one of my favorite people that I worked with 2 years ago on the Armenian dating show. He's a producer. He's a director. He's a writer. You've been a writer or no?
I don't consider myself a writer.
Okay, sorry. No writer. Avo John Kambourian. Thank you so much for coming down, my brother.
What's up? Even the birds are going
Even
wild.
the birds are going nuts.
Yeah.
You brought a gift for me today when you walked in.
It's from me and my wife, Arin.
Congratulations to
Thank you.
Arin, who also worked on the show
Yes,
with
she
you.
did.
You guys were
Yes, she
amazing. Let me see my work.
That's the other way, yeah. So
Okay.
those are incense from Bali.
Bali.
Bali, Indonesia.
Bah.
Indonesia, which is the best place. I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's like going to Mexico, but way cheaper and way better. I mean, in all aspects, it was just good food, good people, like really nice culture. Everyone's super respectful.
How long were you guys there for?
We were there for 10 days, and then we went to Singapore for 5 days. So that was our honeymoon.
Oh, you went to Singapore too?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it was just on the way. So we were like, well, first we were thinking like, okay, where are we going to go on our honeymoon? We were talking about Europe. We were talking about Mexico. But we're like, okay, we're young. We might as well go somewhere we can't go when we're older.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd heard a lot about Bali.
See, they agree.
Yeah. That's another thing too, is like so much nature in terms of like animals and birds and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Monkeys, like I'm afraid of monkeys, but
I am too.
Yeah,
I'm scared of them.
I'm very like. Yeah.
Once you give an animal opposable thumbs, I'm afraid.
First of all, they tell you don't look at the monkey's eyes because they
Yeah.
take that as aggression and they'll attack you.
Okay.
And then we saw monkeys eating like all kinds of stuff left over. Like I saw a monkey eating a cigarette, like
Ew.
raw, just like breaks it open.
The fuck?
Yeah, because they're basically just like stray animals there, and in certain areas. And there's a place in like this region called Ubud where they have like a monkey forest sanctuary, which is really nice. But you walk through, and the monkeys are just like it's their home. You know, like there's no one controlling them.
It's their village.
Yeah, it's their village, and you're just a guest. It was really cool, and again, highly, highly recommend it because it's like it's unlike anything I've ever experienced before. But yeah, I think we had a great time.
You think you had a great time?
No, I think we had a really great time.
Arin, if you're listening, he had a great time. He had a great time. It's not he thinks. He knows.
I know.
He knows he had a great time.
We had a great time. So that's like a handmade incense holder.
This is handmade.
Yeah.
Some villager made this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's light this
light
spliff.
this sucker.
Hold on, I'm gonna do a Lil Wayne real quick. Young Weezy F, baby.
Doesn't it smell good?
It smells really good.
Yeah.
It smells like beef jerky. You got into the film industry when were you attracted to it? At what age?
I mean, I think since I was a kid, I can't think of another thing that I was interested in. I mean, like I told myself when I was a kid I wanted to be a magician. And that's when
Really?
I was like, yeah, that's when I gravitated towards like entertainment, I guess.
Yeah.
It was like magic or acting or whatever. Because like I was literally addicted to the television like as a child. So because my parents were like, they had their own business. They had a deli. So they would go and they would work all day and they would leave me and my brother at home either with a babysitter or by ourselves.
Right.
Or with my grandma, and my grandma didn't speak English, so I would sit with her and I would translate TV shows to her, like I Love Lucy. So that's kind of where the first inklings of it started, was just watching TV and just being attracted to the TV.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so like TV was everything for me.
Yeah, same here.
And yeah, I mean, when I was getting older and like I was like a junior in high school, people started going like, oh, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this, I want to be that. So like for me, it was like, oh, I really like film, and like I had made some films with friends at home and stuff like that, just like messing around. And I got a blow on that.
Oh, you do?
There you go.
There we go. Now it's
There
gonna
we
work.
go. When I was a senior in high school, I was like looking for any opportunity to like dive into filmmaking. And my dad actually got me a job with like some guys in Pasadena doing like like videos for court cases where they would like, it was the
Wow.
most niche documentary field. They still do it, I think. These two brothers, Vacha and Vahe, and
They sound like a law firm.
they're like these twin brothers. And so like I went to work for them. I learned like how to use a Mac. I learned Final Cut Pro, which was the big editing program at the time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was also shooting. So like I had my own like little video camera. So I made like our senior video for Pilibos like in 07.
Okay.
Shout out class of 07.
Shout out class of 07.
So that was my first experiences like making films. And then I did this program at Art Center in Pasadena. It was called Saturday High, where you like go and take a film class or any art class. And I made like little short films with friends. My friend Emin Basavand, shout out to Emin, like one of my first early collaborators. We got to make like a bunch of little short films together.
Okay.
And yeah, it was really, I mean, I just gravitated towards like the storytelling aspect of it and just the holistic aspect of it. Like, you know, making a film is, you know, writing it, shooting it, editing it, all that stuff. We did like a 24-hour or 48-hour film festival together too. So those were like the early experiences. And then when I went to college, I went to UC San Diego, and over there was like Triton Television, which was like a TV channel for the school.
Okay.
Which we gravitated towards like YouTube. That was when YouTube was starting out. So we made like little videos for YouTube, like little skits and stuff like that. And then after college, I came back to LA. I was working at the Apple Store at the time, and I was working at the Grove. I started Glendale Apple Store back in like 08, like right out of high school.
Right.
But then when I came back from college, I was at the Grove, and there was a woman that was one of my customers at the Genius Bar.
Okay.
I was doing like iPhone tech stuff.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you know, you're really good at this stuff. Are you like interested in like film or?" She's like, "I'm an editor. Like, are you interested in post production?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." She got me a job as a post PA on a Disney feature.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I was like 23 at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, holy shit, like this is great. Like I just got thrown into this world with like Oscar nominated editors and film like crazy filmmakers and stuff. And I didn't know what I had at the time. I was just like, you know, it started really early in the day, so I'd be there from like 7 a.m. to like 6, 7 p.m. Like the hours were crazy.
Jesus
and
Christ.
I did that for a whole year. It was cool, but I was like, okay, now I want to like move into like more editing. And I always gravitated more towards editing, even though I did a lot of other stuff. But I think like for me, I always just did everything. Like I think like I was saying before, like I came from that school of like pick up a camera, shoot it, edit it, whatever, direct it. So I was always shooting music photography, and I did that in college as well. Like I interviewed like rap groups that would come to you at UC San Diego and all this stuff.
Interesting.
I met like Macklemore and all these people. Like I just
met them?
Yeah, like them, shot, like they had shows at the pub, like that was right by our office that we had for Triton Television. So like we did little interviews and stuff. So after the Disney job ended, I went into like editing stuff and trying to make my own little documentaries again. I made like a documentary about Armenian artists called Echoes of Survival. It's on YouTube, and it's like a 5-part series on different artists. Because I felt like being a PA is like very eye-opening, but it's not a creative job at all.
Right.
So I felt like, you know, I needed to do something creative. When I decided to go back into editing, a friend of mine got me a job working on like a Hulu show as like an assistant editor.
Oh wow.
And so that was really fun, but it was like another small production company, and it was called Rocket Jump. It was like a weird show of these YouTubers. It was like YouTubers that were getting into Hulu. Like this guy named Freddie Wong and all these people.
Oh,
so
Freddie Wong?
Yeah,
you work with him?
Yeah, I worked
That's
with him.
insane.
I had no idea who he was. I was just like, who is this? Like, it was like this weird group of like interesting people. So I got
what a sentence.
I know.
This weird group of interesting people.
Yeah, it was nuts, but that was a very eye-opening experience. And then I went to work for Vice for like a whole year and a half. I finished Vice. I finished all these things. I worked on a feature film as an assistant editor, a feature documentary about Joan Jett, who's a famous rock performer. She did I Love Rock and Roll and all those movies, shows, songs.
No, you're good. You're good. They're
thinking,
throwing you off.
Yeah.
Hey, you bitch ass. Paco. I'll turn you into a fucking chicken nugget right now if you don't shut your ass up.
And again, like, by the way, I want to say, like, I was a complete, like, had imposter syndrome this whole time. Like, I'm working on all these things, and I'm like, oh, I'm not an editor. I'm not a filmmaker, whatever. Like, you know, I'm not as good as these guys. But then when I worked on this film, I saw like the directors, they were really good, but like they were doing some things that I would find questionable quality wise, like using the wrong cameras and all that stuff. So I was just like, you know, I could do this. And we got into Sundance with that film. So I went I went to Sundance. And when I got to Sundance, and like I was just hanging out with all these interesting weird people.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I can do
Eccentric people.
Eccentric people.
Yes.
Like I met Taika Waititi outside of like a house party. You know,
what the
we're
fuck?
Talking, yeah, we're
How
talking
random.
I know, like that's Sundance though. Like I feel like the weird thing about Sundance is like all these LA people, you know how they're usually so cold?
Yes.
They go to this cold place and they interact in these warm environments, and the warmness comes out. Like, oh, what do you do? What do you do this? Like, it's not about like how you can benefit me. It's like, yeah, like let's get to like know each other, because everyone thinks like you're somebody. If you're at Sundance, you're somebody.
Yeah,
so
I was just before you said it, I was like, I think that they see everybody as like an equal contemporary when at Sundance, because that's like the tip of the iceberg, and then you got all these giants there.
Yeah,
it's not like, oh, someone's there to take advantage of me or take advantage of my brand or some shit, which is kind of like shallow as fuck.
Yeah.
Because if like I went to Sundance, no one's talking to me at Sundance. Like, can you imagine just Taika what's his name? Waititi. I was gonna say Waikiki. That's fucking racist as shit. But let's say Taika Waititi. Titi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Waikiki.
God damn it, dude.
Nice.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend your ancestral heritage.
I mean, it's a Polynesian name. So
it is a Polynesian name, yes. That Taika is there.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Taiga. And like Taiga's across from Sundance.
Yeah.
Imagine me just saying like Armenian words across the bar. They throw me out. They immediately throw me out.
Well,
All right, we need to escort you out, sir. We need to get you out.
Who's this foreigner? That's the weird thing about it though. Like I feel like being Armenian in the film industry, like now it's like it's different because there's more of us. You know, there's the Sebohanyans and everybody.
Yes.
Like I feel like now it's becoming like this insular club of like, oh, we all know what it means to be Armenian and we all know what it means to be in the industry.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the era that I grew up in, it was a lot of like, people are like, oh, we're gonna make like the next like 40 Days of Musada, like the Armenian genocide film. It's like we're kind of past that. Like we have to be able to tell other stories besides genocide. We can't let like that define us. And I think like that's the thing I learned about when I made all these like films about artists. Like I don't know why, I just love making films about artists. And like, you know, when I was like 19, I wrote for the Armenian Reporter, like writing for the cultural section, because I just love talking to artists, you know, and I love hearing their perspective on things. And
as you should.
Yeah, and it's always been interesting. And like, but one thing that kind of changed my whole life was like going to USC, which I just graduated from.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And like I did that during COVID, and I was like, oh, I'm like 30. I'm about to be 30. Like, why am I gonna go back to school?
Yeah.
It was kind of like. And also Sev was very encouraging about it. I ran into him like right before the pandemic, and he's like, if you get in, go. And I was like, okay.
Did he end up teaching you too?
No, he wasn't teaching there at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I took the classes that he taught, and I got a lot of good advice from him, which was mostly just step outside of your
comfort zone,
but also your cohort. Like, you come in with a cohort to your grad program, and it was tough at first. And I ended up like networking so much with other cohorts, like on Zoom, that when I met people in person, it was like, oh, how do you know that person or that person that just graduated? It's like, well, we put together like networking stuff on Zoom because like there was nothing else going on.
Right.
So her whole first year was on Zoom.
Wow.
It was very interesting, but at the same time, like kind of frustrating because like the school put a lot of limitations on us in terms of what we could do, who we could make films with and stuff like that. But I think the right people like persevered by like just either not giving a fuck or just like trying to step out of their comfort zone or like not, you know, finding creative ways to play with the rules. You know? And I think that's like the biggest thing I walked away from the school with was like how to play within a system, how to make the most out of a system, but also like how to like make friends in the industry and then like obviously their connections are crazy, like in terms of like who they've linked me up with to be my mentor and things like that. Like all those connections but I had to seek those experiences out. I had to seek those people out.
Well, yeah.
It wasn't like the school's like, here's a list of all the people that you should network with. No.
They didn't give you like a menu to choose from.
No.
You had to initiate it first.
And then like, it's not the same experience for everybody.
Right.
Like everybody, you know this because you're going through school too. Like, it's like people come in with a certain set of expectations. Like, I definitely had the expectation of like, oh, I'm going to go to the school and I'm going to figure out what the industry is all about. And I think I came away with that. But some people come in, they're like, I'm going to be the next Lucas or Spielberg or Ryan Coogler or whoever. And that's not what it is. Yeah. Like if you're one of those people, then you already are gifted and you're already making stuff. You don't need the school to like make you a Tarantino, because Tarantino didn't go to school. Right. And that's one of my biggest idols is like Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, all these people that like made films like super cheap and like learned from making a film, which is the best way to learn, because the school's not going to teach you how to make a film. The school's going to teach you how to like work together. School's going to teach you how to like, you know, deal with the politics of making a film, but like to make the film itself, you're left on your own. Right. So and what I love about USC and like, it really showed me that I want to be an editor. And like I realized that my second year, it's a 3-year program. In my second year, I got to direct a documentary, which I loved. I loved the experience of making a documentary. It's called Echoes of Kef Time. We just showed it at Armenian Film Festival. Yes. Shout out Armenian Film Society. Shout out AFS. AFS. All the events were really, really great. It was like super inspiring, right? Yeah. To be at
definitely.
So good.
How did you feel knowing that your film was up there?
I mean, I felt like it was like a homecoming, you know, like showing your film to your community is always a great experience, especially a film about the Armenian community. We're hopefully going to show the film in Fresno next month, and I'm really excited about that because I know people are going to like gasp or cheer, you know, at random moments. And I always love those sort of experiences. I almost love making films for my community, about my community, for my community, if that makes sense. And that's why I don't want to continue directing, because I'm not going to make a living doing it. I'll continue directing on my own time. Yeah. Like, so I always told my professors in the beginning, it was kind of a lie, but then it became fact of like, I want to edit for a living, take that money and make my Armenian films. And then it became the truth. Like now I'm just like editing, you know, I just edited a film about an Indian family, a sitcom, you know. Right. I'm editing a film right now about the Manchurian plague of 1910. You know? Jesus Christ,
talk about range.
I'm trying to like broaden my horizons, like step out of my comfort zone and figure out what I want to, like what type of stories I want to tell, because I know once I get a job after the strike ends, like I'll be assistant editing, and that's again another not so creative job. I mean, it could be depending on who you work with, but for the most part, it's technical work, you know, which I like, you know. That's the thing I love about editing is like it's a marriage of like creative side of your brain and the technical side of your brain together.
Do you also think that comes from like that technical side of the industry is more stable as opposed to the creative side? Because creativity, you have to put way more effort into making a project happen. Whereas the technical side, it's like, oh, okay, there's a structure that's already been placed. I just need to follow these guidelines or like make it more creative that way. Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, that technical stuff is more reliable in terms of like consistent work. Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like right now, writers are not working, directors aren't working. You know, all the creative people are out of work, actors especially. Yeah. But who's working? The people that are like designing stuff or like, you know, I'm sure the people that are like doing the technical side of things, they'll always be working. But what I like about it is like
they'll always find a job for sure.
Yeah, and with AI and all that stuff popping up, it's like you gotta just be the person that knows that stuff. Yeah. You can't just be like, oh, it's gonna take my job. It's like, no, you still need somebody to prompt an AI. It's not gonna be doing the work. Like you need someone to oversee it, you know? Yeah. And it's the same thing that happened whenever like computers, like people started editing on computers like 30, 40 years ago, and everyone was like, this is a travesty. Like, how can you do that? But then
that's an interesting point. That's a very interesting point, because you still need someone to set the parameters of what like that AI is going to be able to do. Same thing with like a computer program. Like just because you're taking that and putting it in a home computer doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be able to steal your job just because they can edit like basic videos. But that's an interesting, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Right now you have all these like technologies coming out about like motion capture and animation. where they're like taking an iPhone video and like converting it into a Pixar movie, or like
That's wild.
it's nuts. It's nuts. Like all this, yeah. I mean, it's gonna change animation for sure. I mean, like everything changes animation. I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the new Spider-Man,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like that's a very interesting art style. But
Yeah.
like, how can we do that faster? You know, because
Yeah.
like that's the other thing that's gonna benefit the studios is like how can we do this faster and cheaper?
Mm-hmm.
But with that comes like people compromising their jobs because like
Yeah.
then you have all these roto artists that are going to be out of work.
Yeah,
You know, because all the
literally.
people that would do it manually can't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But they have to pivot. Like I think at the end of the day, it's all about like pivoting into something new.
Mm-hmm.
You know, finding some new path to be able to make yourself like worth hiring or worth working with.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, again, not to be a Tarantino stan, but like, is Reservoir Dogs the same as Hateful Eight? I mean, essentially, there's like things that are common in both of them, but like, you have to evolve as an artist. You have to evolve as like a storyteller or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't just keep telling the same stories, and you can't keep making things the same way. You have to innovate.
What do you think is the most overrated Tarantino movie?
Most overrated Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tricky. I mean, I don't know.
I'm gonna pull up the list as you're talking.
It sort of is Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
agree with you on that.
You know, because I feel like I watched it again recently, and I'm like rewatching things with Audine, you know, like just to get her up to speed on
Right.
my favorite movies. And she's like, I don't get this movie, or like I don't like. She's like, I like parts of it. I'm like, you know what sucks about this movie? The fucking Bruce Willis parts when Kill Bill came out. They're like, oh, it's not Pulp Fiction, but it's like Kill Bill to me is a masterpiece. Like together,
Really?
those two movies together is like his like greatest achievement.
You don't think about Django Unchained?
Django's amazing, but I feel like
I love Django. That's
I love
probably
it
my
too.
favorite one.
I love it too. I heard that there's a 4-hour version. That's
I'm not.
better.
I'm not in.
No.
No thanks. I'm not gonna have to pause the movie to take a shit
Oh no.
and be like, oh, okay, because then I lose. No,
Yeah.
4 hours, bro.
Yeah.
The Zack Snyder cut of Justice League was like 4 hours.
I couldn't.
But why?
I couldn't. Did you hear about Killers of the Flower Moon? The new
No.
Scorsese? It's 3.5 hours.
New Scorsese movies 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
What was Irishman? Like almost two and
It was
a half.
3 hours. It took me 2 days to watch that movie.
It took you. I loved Irishman though.
It was good, but like
Would you say it's overrated?
it's overrated.
No.
No? I'll watch it again. I'll watch it again
I
at some point.
can't.
But
That whole movie is perfect, in my opinion. But I'll never rewatch it.
interesting. See.
I won't rewatch
See,
it.
like for me, a perfect movie can be rewatched multiple times. Like if you have Godfather on, I'll watch it.
I can't.
You can't.
I can't
Wow.
rewatch Godfather, bro.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Take it to the daughter's wedding. I can't do it, bro. Like enough. We get it.
Even part two? Part two seems
No,
better.
I'm good.
Wow.
I'm good, bro. Godfather, one time you watch it to be a historical fan, and then
Yeah.
khalas, that's it. No more.
Wow.
No more. Same with Revenant. Even though they're not in the same
I mean, yeah, Revenant's,
category.
like that's a masochistic movie right there. Like,
Yeah,
you gotta,
dude.
you gotta be in a specific mood to watch that one.
I can't. Like, there's certain movies I can't rewatch, bro. Like, enough is enough. Like, Avatar 2.
Yeah.
Please tell me, did you like Avatar? Or
the
did you
first one or the second one?
both?
The first one was okay.
Yeah,
s-
first
the
one was
second
okay.
one again okay. Like they're mediocre to me.
The second one was way better, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah, it was
Way better.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna say Tarantino. Cameron does.
Yeah.
Cameron takes his movies like the first ones and he makes it better. Terminator 2 is one of the best movies of all
Best
time.
sequels of all time.
All time.
All time.
But he just basically remade the first one but better.
Yes.
And same thing he did with Avatar 2. Now, mind you, I think what's interesting about Avatar is the technology.
Yes.
And-
But that was people argue that's the selling point
Yeah,
of the movie.
it is.
Yeah.
It is. Because
But,
like,
yeah.
there's no other reason to rewatch that movie. Because
You're right.
That movie could have been an hour less. You
Yeah,
know?
it could have been. But
Tech-
the world building was
insane.
the second one's world
Yeah.
building. I was just like this.
Yeah.
Just watching blue.
Yeah.
All I saw was blue
Yeah.
in the whole movie.
It was crazy. We went to the studio where they made that
Yeah.
with my class at USC. It was just nuts. Like,
Is it the
it's-
water tank that they made?
No, they didn't, that's probably down in New Zealand or someplace.
okay.
But like this was just like an empty warehouse with like, you know, little like objects that they used to be objects in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a warehouse.
Yeah.
Like and then you look on the TV and it's like Avatar.
Yeah.
Like they have like the rendering is live and stuff like that they can see. But the technology that they made, like they made water in that movie.
Yeah,
Like, they made digital water.
That's fun, and
So
it was so realistic.
It was so realistic.
It was insane how well they made that movie.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. And what is it? There was a leak that there's 3 more coming out.
It's not leaked. It's known.
Okay, yeah.
It's a
So
known thing.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It was crazy. I went. Funny Glendale story. I went to the theater to watch The Whale, which I still haven't seen.
Okay.
I went to watch The Whale by myself because I just moved to Glendale and I was like, I'll go watch this movie. I love Brendan Fraser or whatever.
Yeah.
And I ran into my cousin and his kid.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, what are you guys doing here? They're like, we're gonna go see Avatar. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna go see Avatar with you guys.
Yeah.
So like I pivoted to that, and I was so glad I did it. Like, and I'm so glad I saw it with a kid because he was just like, we saw it with the 3D glasses, and he's like grabbing the jellyfish like in the sky, So it was like I got to experience it like as a kid would, with the kid. So like I think like that's the cool thing I think about that movie is like few and far between nowadays. We don't have movies that are like
I agree.
like people call them 4 quadrant movies, like young, old, men, women, where like everybody can gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of those rare instances where like everything converges.
When I was watching Avatar 2, I was completely in my seat, but I had to pee.
Oh.
So
sure.
I was like sweating. So the pee was like evaporating from my pores, and I was just looking. I was like, no, it's too blue. I gotta stay.
Yeah.
It's too blue. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love when they incorporate it.
It sucks that it's water too, and you have to pee. And you're
Yeah, dude. So he kept teasing me.
Oh, no.
I was like, please get to it, please.
God.
Avatar 2 was great.
It's like going to a different world, bro. It's like going on a ride.
Yes.
That's what I can compare it to.
Yes.
Oppenheimer blew me away.
Thank God you brought it up because I was just going to bring it up. Of
course.
What is your favorite movie of this year?
Probably Oppenheimer.
I'm going to say Oppenheimer too.
It's such a good movie.
Oppenheimer was, when you start to realize that we're living in it, I was like,
oh yeah,
in my seat. I was just like this. Let me tell you what happened. So my Oppenheimer movie experience was ruined.
Oh shit.
I'll tell you why. And
from the theater?
From the theater.
Oh,
I'll tell you why.
One of those, yeah.
So I hate when this happens, but I also feel for it because I do it. Okay? Let me explain. So when you go to a movie theater, you know how there's people out there who talk and who are like react as if they're at home?
Yeah.
So I do that.
Oh, okay.
But not in the sense, I do it at horror movies.
Yeah.
Horror movies, I do it all the time. So this is Oppenheimer, a serious movie. I have been waiting for like months to see this. So I'm in my seat. It's me and my 3 homies. It's me sitting down here. It's my buddy Andre and Dov on the right side. There's an old man sitting on my left-hand side. And when I say old, he's like late 40s, early 50s.
Okay.
Big dude. His wife.
Uh-huh.
This guy in the middle of the conversation, just like middle of the movie, just goes like, sees Robert Downey Jr. on screen and goes, hey, you know who that is? I'm like, is he going to say his relative? What the fuck is he? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's Robert Downey. I'm like, no fucking shit, it's Robert Downey, bro. So he's just like, I didn't know that. They did such a good job. Because you know how he was bald in the movie?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, he literally played blackface. That didn't fucking impress you? Like you're talking about, oh, he's bald.
Yeah.
Wow. So we're sitting there, and then there were 3 kids on the other side. And they're like TikTok generation kids. Like quinoa hair. Like curly blonde hair.
I never heard that expression.
Every time I see them, I think of quinoa. And then there's a kid in front, and this other fucking douchebag with him. They're throwing popcorn at the kid in front of the row. No. So this guy's just fuming because he's staring at them. And it's spoiler alert, it's the part where he's learning, like he's building the bomb. Like he's building the bomb with the team. And now I'm like trying to figure out, like I'm like into this movie.
Yeah, it's a really good part.
This motherfucker is fuming on my left-hand side, and this kid is just throwing shit at him.
What theater is this?
This is the one in
Woodland Hills.
This one, AMC. Right here, near the AMC. So they're throwing shit at him. And I guess the kid in front isn't like saying anything.
Right.
But he keeps looking back.
Oh.
And these guys are just giggling and like laughing and shit. I wanted to, because if I stayed, I would have probably smacked one of them. So I went to the bathroom.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I went to the bathroom.
Wait, but this is like in a crucial moment.
In a crucial moment, it slowed down. It slowed down for me. But then I was like, I looked at my friend. I'm like, can I please go to the bathroom? Because he had seen it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he goes, yeah, now's the time. I'm like, okay. I get up, I go. Security pulls up to the theater. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I took a shit, came back. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I come back.
You dropped your own bomb.
I dropped my own Oppenheimer bomb. So the fucking, I come back, the dude's gone.
Yeah.
Kids
the
are
older
gone.
Dude.
Yeah, the
Oh,
old
wow.
dude's
So
gone,
the
older
security
kids are
kicked
gone.
him out.
Apparently,
Huh.
old dude got up, grabbed the kid,
Oh shit.
and cussed his ass out,
Oh,
screaming
wow.
in the middle of the
Yeah.
fucking theater.
That's millennial versus Gen Z, right?
Yeah, and the kid fucking went,
Yeah.
called security.
Wow.
Security came, threw the kids out, and got the guy out. And I don't know if he got
Wow.
arrested or not.
Wow.
But my entire movie experience was fucking ruined because Popcorn Man was throwing fucking shit at the kid.
Did you miss the explosion?
No, I was there
Okay,
for the
good,
explosion.
yeah.
The guys left. They got
Yeah.
arrested and they
Yeah.
took off. But the explosion, bro, I was like this. Once the sound turned off, I'm like,
Spoiler.
yeah, spoiler. But I'm like, I'm looking at my,
Yeah.
what the fuck? Nothing.
And
I
then
was like, it was
so genius.
crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I watched it twice. The first time was Burbank, and I saw both times on film. What's up, birds?
I'm gonna fucking throw an H bomb on both of you.
So the first time was AMC 16 in Burbank, 70 millimeter.
I
It was-
I hate that so much.
What?
I hate that fucking building.
You hate that Why?
With that tell your story and I'll tell you
Well,
why.
no,
I
I
had
mean, it is kind of secretly a shitty theater.
that. Shitty?
Yeah.
That's hilarious that you said shitty.
Why?
Because you know how the parking structure across from it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the pipes burst.
Oh.
So I drove my car underneath it,
Oh, no.
not knowing it's shit.
And it's shit on your car?
Shit on my car.
Oh my god.
My friends were like, what's that smell? I'm saying, what's that smell? It's an apartment complex, and everyone's like, piss, shit, like everything. And I had the Alpha at that time.
Yeah.
So my Alpha literally smelled like dog shit. Like,
Did you get like compensation for it or anything?
no,
Like, did
I went
you-
straight to the car wash 3 times.
Oh my god.
Three times. I
Like,
went,
Nestus. Wow.
It was bad.
Wow,
It was.
wow,
I was so
wow.
pissed.
Wow.
I was so pissed.
So did that happen in the parking lot? So
in the
parking lot was
because
like
it was
all
leaking.
crap?
It was like a
Oh.
waterfall. It wasn't just like one
Oh.
drop. It was shh. I thought it was like fire extinguisher water, but I'm like, why would it be on
Damn.
the roof? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Well, I will say this about Burbank. What I respect about them is that they still have free parking. You
Oh,
know?
they better have free
You know,
parking after the
yeah,
bullshit I had to go
yeah,
through.
Literally.
But yeah, go ahead. You said
No,
you
I saw it
first time?
there with my homie Hagop. Shout out Hagop Kurunyan, director Fitz on Instagram. This-
Shout out.
Shout out. He's the homie. And so we saw it there, and Audin was with us too. And dude, Audin loves Matt Damon.
Really? I
Loves.
can't stand him.
I mean, yeah.
He looks like he's holding in his fart in his face. Like, I don't get it. Like, you just.
So we're watching the movie, and it's like an hour and 20 minutes in, and like Matt Damon shows up, and Audin just goes, and I'm like,
He's such a dick in that movie too.
he kind of is.
Like, he's
yeah.
an absolute
But he's
asshole.
good.
He's really good
He's
in that movie.
They're all good. They're
All
all
of them.
good. All of them.
All
killed
of
it.
them.
The second time was IMAX and Universal,
Mhm.
which is the way to see it, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah.
It's IMAX 70 millimeter film. The one problem with that, and I'm still paying for the consequences because my neck still hurts,
Oh
is
shit.
like we were in the 4th row. So we're just
Oh.
like.
So you saw.
Yeah, and I was with
Florence Pugh's like ass flipping out this.
It was just, I saw every pore on Cillian Murphy's face.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So the first thing pops up, the first like image pops up, and it's like a shot of him at that lake with Einstein,
Yes.
and it's like you're just looking up at
You
the,
just see his nose.
it's like being in front of a 4-story building,
oh
and
my
that's
god.
the image, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, this was great, but now I almost feel like I have to see it a third time and sit more back, but
Back.
I don't know if I'm gonna do it. But goddamn, the second time was even better because
Yeah.
now you like have all that stuff, like, you know, you're not shocked by anything.
Yeah.
You're kind of just like able to think about why it's such a good movie. Because like I think what I admire about it so much is that it seems like it was figured out like way ahead of time.
I
Like
agree.
all the writing, all that
They
stuff
planned
is
it
so
so
good. Yeah.
well, and the casting was done so well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they won't get an Oscar because they've been blacklisted. I guess I'm
Why?
hearing because
No.
it
Really?
was during they released it during the strike.
So
I thought they would be blacklisted.
I don't
because of
think
that.
so. No, they walked out of their premiere.
Okay.
The strike, the SAG strike, started right during their premiere in London, and
Okay.
all the actors walked out of the theater.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so then probably.
So
they
I think
might.
they'll be fine. I don't know. Cillian Murphy might win, but
I
don't
think he will. If it does happen, Cillian Murphy's definitely.
what about
winning.
Barbie?
Okay, Barbie was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. I
Mhm.
love the way they made it. I love the it was funny too.
Yeah.
I'll beat you off. That was fucking hilarious.
That was so good.
But if you walked away from the movie on Barbie's side, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to like put you in check because like Ken was literally just fighting to be a man, and he was just this accessory to Barbie.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think I walked away on either side. I was just I was just like, wow. Like I was like that happened, you know? Like for me the biggest problem of the movie was how it wrapped up.
Yes.
It was like this is so like they cut some shit out for sure, you know?
Really?
Like some shit that didn't work. But like it was almost like too convenient like it wrapped up that way. But I will say like again world and like production design, all that stuff like
beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah.
It just like when I look at the plot, it made no sense.
No, it doesn't.
It just I'm like, okay, so where was the conflict?
Yeah, there was no conflict.
There was no conflict.
No.
It was just a bunch of people. It was like a big YouTube movie for like 2 hours.
Basically, yeah.
It felt like that.
But it kind of like met my expectations.
Really?
Like it wasn't better, it wasn't worse. It was like, okay,
I think it was better for my expectations because I thought it would tank. I'm like, oh shit, this is. What's your what's a movie that you were very disappointed with that was overhyped this year? I have one right off the top of my head.
This year. You want to go first?
Mario.
Really? I liked Mario.
I hated Mario.
My brother said the same thing and it kind of broke my heart.
I hated it.
It was like, I don't know. I feel like there's only so much that you can do with a franchise like that.
Yes.
And I feel like as long as it's not the 90s crappy Mario.
Okay, I'll give him that.
I was like happy. But will I watch it again? I'm not like itching to watch it again.
Every time I hear Jack Black sing, peaches, I just want to fucking just put me in a sleeping bag and throw me into the ocean.
It's very like lowbrow.
Yes.
You know, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there's potential in that franchise now.
There's gonna be a second one
for sure.
I'm not.
Yeah.
Please, I don't know.
Did you stay for the post credits?
I did stay for the post credits.
Yoshi?
Yes. You're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it was a perfect movie for like kids.
Yeah, it goes
was
back to what I was saying. Like if you watch it with kids and stuff, like I would definitely show that movie to my kids. And like what I'm talking about, like what I liked about it was that there were jokes in there for the adults and there were jokes in there for the kids.
Yes.
It's like almost like one of those 90s movies for me.
Yeah.
Kind of was but then again, I'm not a big fan of like Despicable Me, all that stuff. Like the first one's good, but like
after the first one I didn't watch it anymore.
Get on my nerves. You know, like
I love the Minions.
They're cute, but like
they're fucking hilarious.
They're cute. Yeah.
Did you come up with a movie that you didn't like this year?
From this year, it's very. What did I fucking see this year? I can't even think of it. Okay, I think I found my movie.
Okay.
I think it's well, if this counts for 2023, I don't know. Babylon.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we've been watching a lot of shows. We watched What We Do in the Shadows. That show's great.
Yeah.
And I'm watching Friends for the first time.
Actually, what do you think?
Really good.
Really?
Really good. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things when you watch it the first time, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But then once you've seen it so many times, it just
it's like audience fourth time watching it, bro.
Yeah.
I'm like, how? Like, if I was like, she likes watching it with me because she gets to experience it like for the first time again.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She wouldn't be watching it if she wasn't watching it with me. But
favorite character?
Probably Joey.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a Chandler guy. Because I am Chandler. I feel like I am Chandler, like in and out.
Yeah.
Except without the drug problems. But like, I'm sorry, that's a low blow. I'm sorry. Sorry, the camera died. But we're going to have to sign off real quick. Avo John, where could they find you?
So I'm on Instagram,
Facebook,
all that stuff. Avo John. Avo John. I always have to say it with Armenians. John. Yeah. So come and see our film. We're screening Echoes of Kefsheim at the Highland Park Film Festival on October 7th at the Highland Theater at 12:30.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
See you guys next time.
What day?
October 7th.
October 7th.
Yeah, Saturday.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I will make sure to link that in. Thank you so much, Avo John. I appreciate it. We'll have another one, I promise. Better cameras, better pizza.